Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents His to Love by Sierra Cartwright, narrated by Chris Chambers. Chapter 1. I want your submissive. Stunned, Shelby Salazar sucked in a frantic breath. What? From her place, kneeling on the floor, she glanced up at Master Trevor Lawton. The stunningly handsome Dom thumbed back the brim of his cowboy hat and met her gaze. The makeshift poker room of the quarter, New Orleans' elite dungeon, swam beneath her. Though decorum dictated that she look away and refocus on the wooden planks beneath her, she was helpless, ensnared in the compelling trap of his steel-laced blue eyes. She'd had a crush on the mysterious billionaire for at least a year, since she first saw him brooding and alone in the club's bar area. With his dark hair and unyielding jaw, he was the stuff of her submissive dreams. But Shelby was smart enough to realize her fantasies were safer from a distance. He had a reputation as an exacting dominant, and she was relatively new to the scene. As much as he fascinated her, he also terrified her. For a flash of a second, she saw something in his eyes. Pain? Longing? At her fanciful thought, she shook her head. Trevor severed their silent connection, and her breath whooshed out. Just the brief interaction unnerved her. Instead of looking away, he swept his gaze down her body, lingering for a few seconds on her chest. In keeping with the Western-themed night, she'd selected a white demi-cup bra. As much as she wanted to be bold, her innate shyness had won out before she left the house, and she'd slipped into a studded leather vest. Her sterling silver bolo tie with its beautiful mother-of-pearl conch had been a rare indulgence. She'd spent over a month shopping for it, and the way it caught the light when she moved made it worth every penny. Trevor continued his slow perusal and paused again at her pelvis. In addition to white leather chaps, she wore a pair of pink panties. Though she was covered, she shivered, as if completely exposed to him. When he looked at her face again, his slow smile told her he found plenty he liked. Her breaths threatened to strangle her. When he finally turned his focus away from her, she momentarily grabbed hold of the poker table to steady herself. "What do you say, David?" Master Trevor asked. She was absolutely certain her friend and occasional escort would say no to Master Trevor's outrageous suggestion. Instead, stunning her, David walked one of his few remaining poker chips through his fingers. "I'm not sure I heard you correctly, Lawton." His response made her reel. "I'm quite certain you did. I want your submissive." Wide-eyed, she shook her head. She wasn't David's sub and never had been, but Trevor couldn't know that. In the sudden, tense silence surrounding them, Master Trevor continued in his calm, confident manner. "I'd like a month, but I'm willing to start with a week." "A month? You'll have to make this a little more interesting to me," David responded. What the hell was going on here? A small voice inside her urged her to shout out her objection. Instead, a deep, feminine part of her blossomed. For a wild moment, she pictured herself naked and humbled in front of him. Shaking, she pushed the unnerving, if exciting, image aside. "I'm listening," Trevor replied. "This can't be happening." "If I win, you make a $25,000 contribution to the Shaughnessy Community Law Offices." She swayed forward before catching herself. "One moment, sirs." The dealer signaled to one of the dungeon masters. Presumably, he wanted to summon Mistress Aviana, the club owner. What was normally a fun game at the club's annual Western theme night had taken a stunning, outlandish turn. David Shaughnessy, one of a group of people she'd hung out with since college, was an attorney with an overly generous heart. He accepted cases others wouldn't, and he took on a significant amount of pro bono work. His offices were borderline derelict, and he'd never met a sob story that didn't tug his heartstrings or hurt his wallet. Because she helped out at his law center from time to time, Shelby knew he had spent months, if not a year, trying to get an appointment with Master Trevor. Along with mentoring entrepreneurs, the billionaire was a renowned philanthropist. But it wasn't easy to get past the layers of people who protected him from the thousands of requests he received each year. There was a formal process in place. So far, David had not made it to the second round of selection. Time dragged, and Trevor checked his high-tech Bonds watch before settling his gaze back on her. When nerves were turning her inside out, Mistress Aviana finally swept in, electrifying the air with her larger-than-life personality. This evening, she wore cowboy boots emblazoned with turquoise-colored sugar skulls. Her booty shorts and matching leather mini-top were decorated with fringe that glimmered when she moved. In addition to an oversized hat, she'd selected a turquoise duster jacket. As always, she was the most stunning woman in the place. Out of respect, Trevor stood, and his dull silver spurs scraped the hardwood floor. He stood well over 6 feet tall and had impossibly broad shoulders. His tailored shirt showed his trim waist, but there was something even more compelling. The man was cloaked in an undeniable aura of command. In a club filled with doms, he was the ultimate alpha. Following suit, David, too, pushed back his chair. Unsure what she should do, Shelby remained in place, her heart thundering. "Evening, my lady." Trevor kissed the dame's hand. His gentlemanly manners made Shelby want to swoon. "Mistress Aviana." David acknowledged Mistress Aviana with a nod. Several people had followed her into the area, and a few others wandered over to see what was happening. "I understand an unusual bet has been proposed." She glanced first at David, and then at Trevor. "Indeed, my lady. Master David appears to be alarmingly low on funds." Aviana looked at David. He shrugged. "I'm guessing he had an ulterior motive for sitting down at this particular table." Master Trevor angled his head to one side. Earlier in the evening, there had been 8 people playing Texas Hold'em. Now it was down to just David and Master Trevor. "Master David?" Mistress Aviana asked. David shot the imposing dame a wry smile. Shelby blinked. Could Trevor be right? Had David invited her to join him with the intention of wagering her? "As I suspected." Trevor gave a sharp nod. "Nevertheless, I'm happy to continue the game, under David's terms." "Most unusual." Mistress Aviana glanced at Shelby. "It's my understanding that Shelby is not an owned slave." Aware that everyone was looking at her, Shelby raised up a bit and shifted uncomfortably. "That's..." After gulping down her nerves, she tried again. "That's correct, m'lady. Therefore, it's not Master David's right to wager you." "Unless Shell is willing." David added. What? The scoundrel had planned this. Why don't you ask her? David's voice was steady, as if he were confident in her answer. Damn you. From conversations their group had shared, David knew Master Trevor fascinated her. And because she was friends with David, she knew how desperate he was for money. I agree with David, Master Trevor said into the pulsing silence. I'm all about consent. Let's see what the sub wants. A shiver of fear mixed with desire raced up her spine as she and the terrifying Dom made eye contact again. He'd obviously noticed her sneaking peeks at him all night. Intuition screamed at her to end this madness. But something more primal drove her. She was enjoying this. An unfulfilled part of her wanted all of his focus on her. Please come with me, Shelby. Mistress Aviana crooked her finger. We need to have this discussion away from the table. Swimming in confusion, Shelby looked toward Trevor, rather than David, for guidance. He offered his hand. After a slight hesitation, she accepted. With restrained strength, he helped her up. Then he pulled her toward him to capture her chin. What would it be like to be in his arms? She inhaled his barely tamed scent, drowning in his masculinity. Then, so quiet that no one else could hear, he said, Make no mistake. If you agree, and I win, you will be mine for a week. Be careful with your decision, Shelby. I have work. It was an excellent excuse, but her traitorous mind spun with possibilities. Well, I can reschedule some of my clients, or get a colleague to cover for me so that I can have a couple of days off. There was one case, the Lemieux divorce, that no one else could take. This would be their third and hopefully last session. Friday I have to be there. Understood. I'm not far from the city. You can commute from my house. Shelby? Aviana prompted. With me, please. With seeming reluctance, Master Trevor released Shelby. After shooting David a fierce scowl, she hurried after the club's owner. Mistress Aviana, flanked by her most trusted dungeon monitor, Tor, strode past the bucking bronco that had been brought in for tonight's event, then pushed through a door leading to a more intimate part of the club. Then she continued to Rue Sensuel, known by the regulars as Kinky Avenue. There were numerous small settings, separated by partitions, each designed to cater to a particular kink. A schoolroom, a boss's office, even an examination room. When they reached one that was unoccupied, Aviana waved Shelby inside. Aware of the church pew in front of her, she squirmed. I'm not in the business of bartering submissives between two doms who are indulging in a pissing contest. Shelby grinned at Mistress Aviana's bluntness. I understand, my lady. And I'm guessing you're not accustomed to being swapped between men? Me? The suggestion was ludicrous. Men did not vie for her attention. No, ma'am. She resisted the urge to draw the lapels of her vest even closer together, as if it could shield her from this uncomfortable meeting. Tell me how you'd like to proceed. If you don't want to be a pawn, I'll put a stop to their nonsense. She twisted her hands in front of her. If David won, the money would be huge. And if Trevor won, she would have an experience she'd never forget. Did she have enough courage to be bartered by 2 doms? Shelby? Yes. She bit her lower lip. I'm willing. This must be a very exciting evening for you in that case. The woman smiled. I can vouch for Master Trevor. If he's out of line, he will answer to me. Thank you, ma'am. Nervous about the evening's outcome, her feet leaden, Shelby followed Aviana as they returned to the table. Tor stood off to one side. The dealer hadn't moved. David had pulled his few remaining chips closer to him. Master Trevor had a leg propped on top of the other, at ease, relaxed. Now that she was back, she didn't know what to do. As if intuiting her confusion, Master Trevor nodded toward the floor, about midway between himself and David. Taking a breath, reassured by her potential dom's confidence, she knelt. Aviana glanced between both men. I've spoken with Shelby, and I'm satisfied that she's agreeable. I can't tell you how delighted I am, Master Trevor said, the sound of his deep voice dancing shivers across her nerve endings. Aviana folded her arms and nodded to the dealer. You may proceed. Do we have a bet? David asked. Indeed. Though he spoke to David, Master Trevor looked at her. Indeed we do. The dealer burned the next card before turning over the 5th and final one. Shelby held her breath. The Jack of Spades. A couple of the spectators in the room whispered. There were 3 spades showing, definitely the potential for a flush. With a jack, a straight was a possibility. She looked at David. His eyes were wide, and a quick grin flashed across his face before he schooled it away. She released her breath. David's work meant everything to him, and many people in the New Orleans area, and it appeared he was going to get just that. The dealer nodded to David. He turned over his pocket cards, the 8 and 9 of spades. Yes. She grinned. His flush was likely unbeatable. No doubt by tomorrow he'd be planning his building's remodel. Then, aware of the silence pulsing around them, she hazarded a glance at Master Trevor. Unlike David's, his face was set in unreadable lines. Sir? The dealer signaled for Master Trevor to show his pocket cards. Steady, betraying nothing, he flipped the 2 cards lying face down on the felt. Ace and Queen of Spades. Royal flush. She gasped as the room spun. David clamped a hand on her shoulder. This. She couldn't comprehend it. The odds against Master Trevor prevailing had been astronomical. Seeking understanding, she looked at him. He captured her gaze. In his eyes, she read reassurance and promise, 2 things she desperately needed. Well fucking played, Lawton. Then, seeming to draw on the same composure he used in the courtroom, David extended his hand toward Master Trevor. Congratulations. Thank you. He stood. I'm honored to have Shelby as mine. Her tummy dropped. David crouched in front of her. Fuck, Shell. I'm sorry. I really thought I'd win. For a moment, so had she. If I'd have thought... I know. Which one of them was she trying to reassure? It's okay. This could be a great opportunity for you, he added quietly. I'll take good care of her, Trevor promised. David stood. You're damn right you will. After another reassuring squeeze on her shoulder, he left. "Game's over, everyone." Mistress Aviana clapped her hands. "I invite you to partake in the unique pleasures of the quarter." Tor extended his arms wide to encourage the stunned spectators to walk away. Because Master Trevor had yet to give her any instructions, Shelby remained on her knees, her gaze downcast as the noise in the room diminished. At this point, she realized it was probably a good thing he hadn't given any commands. Adrenaline raced through her body, and she doubted she'd be able to follow any direction, no matter how simple. "You're free to go," Mistress Aviana said to the dealer and Tor. With sharp nods, they did as she said. Mistress Aviana strode toward Trevor. "I trust this is only about you wanting to play with Shelby," she said to Master Trevor. "She's under my protection. I expect nothing less," Mistress Aviana said. "As I told Shelby, this transaction happened at my club, so I have an obligation to her." To Shelby she added, "If you need me, call." "Thank you, milady." "We'd like to use a private room," Trevor said. The words sent tiny shockwaves through Shelby. The private rooms were upstairs, and nudity was permitted. The club's safe word was always honored, and scenes were monitored. But the distance from the dungeon meant the players had much more intimacy. "I'll have Trinity arrange one," Aviana replied. "With your indulgence, I'd like to spend a few minutes here with Shelby first." "No more than 15. We need to reset the area." "Of course, milady." There was respect in Master Trevor's tone, but also finality. For him, the conversation was over. The spiky heels from Mistress Aviana's boots clicked against the wooden floor as she left. The sudden silence, the realization that they were alone, and that for the next 7 days she was his submissive, made Shelby's pulse echo in her ears. "Before I take you upstairs, there are a few things I want to know about you." Commanding, broad and beautiful, he loomed over her. "Tell me about your relationship with Master David." "We're friends, and there's never been anything more. We've never slept together or scened together. He's part of the group I went to college with. I've only been here a few times, and mostly it's for special events, theme nights in particular. I've never come by myself." "Go on." "Really? You want to hear all this?" His silence was unnerving. He'd told her what to do, and he'd meant it. "Anyway, my group of friends, make an evening out of it. A dinner. Then we sometimes go to breakfast before heading home." Shelby paused to drink in a breath. He continued to wait. "I guess I'm trying to say that David looks out for me." And he'd represented her during her divorce. "In the interest of full disclosure, I've done some work at his law center." "Have you?" "When possible. He likes to use mediators. It can sometimes resolve things quicker and less expensively than going to court." "That's what you do?" "Yes. I wish I could volunteer more time." He drew his eyebrows together. "Volunteer?" "Maybe you didn't know. Almost none of his clients can afford to pay him, which is why he's in a ridiculous amount of personal debt. The building he's in is old and crumbling. He puts in 60-hour weeks and works harder than anyone I've ever known. I don't know, feels a personal obligation to be a savior. Most often, he's the last hope for most of his clients." Realizing she'd gone on too long, said too much, She exhaled. "What I'm trying to say is that I know how much winning the bet meant to him." "I appreciate your loyalty and your honesty." Master Trevor crouched in front of her, then tipped back his rakishly perched hat. "So tell me this, my bold little sub. Would you have agreed to go home with any dom who'd been prepared to make that kind of wager?" "No," she admitted with some reluctance. "No, sir." He placed his finger beneath her chin, compelling her to look at him. "Then it's personal?" He was relentless in his quest for answers. She didn't have the courage to tell him the truth, that she was incredibly attracted to him, or that she'd fantasized about him 1,000 times. Frantically, she searched for a safe answer. "You have a reputation as a dominant who is demanding but fair." "That's probably an accurate assessment." He lifted a shoulder in a shrug. "But that's hardly enough to put your life in my hands for a week." His words sent a shiver through her. That was exactly what she was doing. "I've seen you play." "Have you? Often?" Every chance she had. "You seem confident. I don't know. Maybe in tune with the women you play with." Focused and relentless. Swoon-worthy. "I don't have much experience, although I'm guessing you might have figured that out." "The way you squirmed while David and I were playing the game? Your impatient sighs?" He'd been studying her that closely. "The way your gaze strayed all over the room?" He cracked a smile, transforming his features, taking any sting out of his words, and devastating her all over again. He dragged a chair over. Not surprising her, he sat, but left her kneeling helplessly before him. "Tell me what you've done, what you'd like to repeat, what you'd rather not do again." Because it made the conversation easier, she glanced down at his boots. Even though they appeared to be hand-tooled, they were marred, scratched by the years. The dark color of his jeans had faded slightly, meaning the denim had broken in, and now it hugged his strong thighs. When she met his gaze again, she realized he'd never looked away from her. "Most times, I end up watching rather than participating." "Are you a voyeur?" "No. It's the dynamic that keeps me watching. There's a formality, isn't there? Or there can be. The elegance by which you exert your control. The surrender. Sometimes even passion." She sighed. "Does that make any sense?" "Anything you have to say, I want to hear. Keep going." "The best way I can explain it is that there's a psychological dimension to BDSM play that I've never experienced. Fiona and Hannah, my friends, talk about it, turning control over to someone else." "I'm honored that you'd choose me." Time stretched and twisted into a vortex of possibility. "I'm scared." She paused. "Nervous, a little. And—" Oh, God. She was going to blurt it out. "But I don't know why you want me when you can play with anyone here." "Woman, once I saw you, I had no other choice. I'm attracted to everything about you." His quick smile softened him and calmed her fears. "Even your misbehavior." In that moment, nothing existed but him. He was her whole world. After a few seconds, he cleared his throat. You've played privately? No.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?